Hey everybody, welcome back to Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy and Joie Bleber, the Rugby Rain Man, here at the Fantasy Sports Network, Studio 34, built into the Renaissance Hotel for Rugby Wrap-Up. We have the pleasure of being here with Mr. Dan Lyle, calling in from who knows where, but we're just happy he's calling in. Dano, good to see you. How are you, buddy?
It's great to see you guys, except for you need to take those glasses off. The eclipse is officially over.
I didn't. Did you see
the eclipse is? I guess the eclipse is over. I mean, he's smart. Okay, all right. Let's take him off. There you go. Thank you, Dan. Boy, things look a little differently, right? All right. Aside from that, aside from being an astute judge of astronomy, Dan Lyle, you are the director of AEG. You are the USA Rugby's first Captain America, and that is not a slight of Todd Clever, who's earned the title as well. You are a Bath and Tigers Premiership legend, an NBC rugby analyst, and a large man that we'd enter a dark alley behind gladly.
It's great to be here. I'm very complimentary of this show, and then how you've taken the next step into the sports journalist world. And great to see Junior with you there.
Thank you. Junois. No.
Joie Bleber is his stage name, the Rugby Rain Man. You know,
yes.
It's not that he misspelled his name on Facebook. It's not that. It's not that.
I take back everything I said of you advancing now.
Thank you. Thank you. But you are here for the second time. You were on our first show, and that will go down in history as helping put us on the map, Dan. And we thank you. But we don't want to waste any more time kissing each other's butts. So let's get right into... You guys are doing big stuff at AEG Rugby, but what the Sam Hill is AEG Rugby?
Well, for those that don't know, AEG is one of the largest sports entertainment companies in the world. We're divided into facilities we own or operate, 130 buildings around the world or more, arenas and stadiums, clubs, and so entertainment. Sports, we have about 10 or 11 sports franchises, including the Galaxy, Kings, part of the Lakers, soccer and hockey teams abroad, basketball teams in Sydney. So a lot of franchises, along with Tour de California, tennis, and now rugby. And then we have one of our biggest group is the entertainment group, where music and concerts and things like the New Orleans Jazz Festival and Coachella and Hyde Park Summer Series in London. These are all the big arms of AEG. And so we're able to leverage sports and entertainment and buildings and build content. And so I've been brought in to leverage rugby on a globally. So work with franchises and teams and leagues and unions around the world and help them get better at what they do in their own backyard. And then also leverage as much as I possibly can those relationships to build new content in conjunction with USA Rugby and partners here, so that we can have a global or a rugby season that we all can look at every month. What are we doing in the college space, in the club space, in the test match space, in the neutral game space? And in essence, that's what sport is. It's building a season and monetizing it and developing fans and participants.
Are you talking about a universal global rugby calendar, or maybe just a calendar that suits everybody in the United States? Because that would be a major accomplishment.
Yeah, more. I mean, certainly people are working on the global calendar, as we all know what that's going to look like post 2019. But really, what's best for the United States? So we in our backyard, it's almost being the bridge. The East Coast being so connected to Europe, the West Coast being connected to Asia and Australasia, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. And America and the Central, and the rest of us being connected to South America, being able to use all of those brands, those countries, as well as our own infrastructure, building a season that all of us can follow on broadcast television and on month to month and week to week. Speaking
of broadcast television, you are doing big things now on NBC, and you are actually on camera, and it's a real treat for folks like us to be able to watch top-level rugby on our TVs in the United States, rather than just watching that one tape of the Barbarians playing New Zealand over and over and over again, right? And you're a part of that. That's got to be exciting.
Yeah, it's been great. I've been privileged to support NBC in its negotiations with various different rights holders, from the Premiership to Six Nations to Rugby World Cup to USA Rugby, and just help everybody look at the bigger picture. That we know that in order to gain a larger fan base, to gain value within the members that we have and the past members that we've had, is to really build both a linear and a digital. Linear meaning just what we watch on television every day through our cable subscription, and digital what we like this show or things through Apple TV or Roku, that we're able to be able to say to that athletic director, that mom, that decision maker, that there's rugby going on every single week. And I think we're at that place now where with the Premiership, every Saturday, Sunday, sometimes on Friday, generally throughout the year, through the September to May window, there's going to be Premiership on. There's rugby with the Rugby World Cup. There's going to be a lot of that on when the World Cups are. The cool thing is that we just had the Women's World Cup where the Eagles fought their butts off and played a great game, and we were able to get that on live on NBC Sports Network. But next year is the Rugby World Cup 18. The following year is Rugby World Cup 19, and they so on and so on with the next Women's World Cup, the next Sevens World Cup. And then there's some really cool stuff that's coming. And don't forget, there's other broadcasters that are doing this as well. They're looking to do this. So between 2 or 3 very competitive broadcasters, we will have pretty much all the rugby that we could possibly watch, both on linear, as I said before, the main channels, and digital. And so the ardent fan can buy their subscription for $4, $5, $6 a month and watch everything. And you can also then, with your family, friends, and colleagues, watch 1, 2, 3 real live American and best in the world on television. So it is, without a doubt, from 2 years ago, 5 years ago, let alone those 15 to 25 years ago you were talking about with the VHS tape, it is some bounds above what it used to be.
All right, well, Dan, we have to take a quick break, but having all this rugby at our disposal is incredible, and it's just exciting, and it's an exciting time. And we'll be right back, though, with Dan Lyle. Don't go away.
The world's top professional rugby competition is bringing excitement to Philadelphia this September with English Premiership Rugby's American Series. Come experience current European champions Saracens taking on Newcastle Falcons at Talon Energy Stadium on September 16. Tickets are on sale now for the inaugural match of English Premiership Rugby's American Series at www.spectratix.com.
From around the globe, legends are arriving at Rugby Town, USA. 20 teams, including the Olympic gold medal rugby champions Fiji. Rugby Town Sevens, August 25th through the 27th at Infinity Park in Glendale, Colorado. Tickets at rugbytownsevens.com.
If you're just joining us, this is a big match and a big moment as Clijsters toes the line.
You know, John, Anderson has really been struggling out there today. Mistake as Clijsters clinches another title. Don't let your nutrition get in the way. USANA, the official multivitamin of the WTA.
Hey everybody, Matt McCarthy and Jules Blaber, the Rugby Rain Man, back at the Fantasy Sports Network, Studio 34, built into the Renaissance Hotel for Rugby Wrap-Up, back here with Dan Lyle. Daniel, we were talking about some stuff going on with AEG.
Matt, before we get to the AEG, I want to know the story behind those caps, because one of them seems to have the old USA Rugby Eagle logo on it.
Yes, I was an Eagle. So that would be making me an old Eagle, I guess. Yeah, so, you look for any rugby international or person that played for their country, you know, your most prized possessions, as Tom Billups used to say, is your first cap, and then when you play in a World Cup 15s, and you get a couple of caps. So that's the '99 in Ireland and the 2003 Australia caps that I played in, and right below that I've got a Minnesota Vikings contract, and above that is kind of the opening ceremony of the World Cup in 2015, where I was with a bunch of those legends doing doing the opening ceremony and and a few bits and pieces. So I just wanted to rival the backdrop that you guys have, So I just threw this up.
You're getting there. You're getting there.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you about the Vikings contract. Do you think that fate intervened for the best on your behalf because of now where you are in rugby?
Yeah, I mean, I have my beautiful wife and 3 great boys, that I met in England, my wife in England, and so forth. So, the honor of playing for your country, and you're pretty much playing all over the world, and doing what I'm doing now. Yeah, I mean, certainly the NFL could have taken me to wonderful places in a different way, but I have no regrets. Matter of fact, it's one of the best decisions that I did make. But it's always nice to know that there's a marriage between football and rugby, not just in its history and its roots, but between the ways that we should be thinking about not American football as a rival, not rugby as something better or worse or any other sport, that we should be thinking about our sport as something that fits within the American landscape, and it's not some international sport, even though the international component of it sets us apart. It's just something that I like to think about, that it's that we're akin to each other, and that if we work on seasonality of rugby and the seasonality of other sports, that we're going to have a long, prosperous sport in rugby. So it's just nice to tag team those together. How
is your health, and how do you think it would have been comparatively if you had an NFL career? As a tight end, were you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I certainly had my fair share of surgeries and injuries, but I play a Sunday morning basketball game, sometimes Wednesday, and just did a 5K on the weekend, and certainly I suffer the next couple of days. Sorry?
That's a humble brag. I jogged 5 blocks here, and I'm out of breath.
I think you just had an epiphany, Junior. Okay. Oh,
yeah. I mean, look. I played it on the edge physically, so I put myself out there. So I've had a number of injuries, but life's more dangerous than sport is. So I'd much rather be playing sport than just participating in life. So that's what I tell anybody that has any doubts.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get back to that. That's a stellar career, ladies and gentlemen. You ought to look it up. Bing it. We're talking about stuff every week for people to watch. How about the MLR? Is AEG interested in the MLR? What do you make of that?
Yeah, we're certainly watching it. I got a lot of time and respect for the people that are involved, a lot of colleagues and friends, past teammates that are involved. I like the idea of commoditizing existing clubs and building infrastructure from the ground up. I think that's the key, is that you have to build fan base, participation base, as much as you have to build, the infrastructures of a professional team. I know that those that started professional rugby in England, which I was there at the beginning, spent 8, 9, 10 times what they thought they were going to do to get there. I know that our company in MLS did the same thing in starting MLS. So it's a long road. You have to have deep pockets and be expecting to spend lots of money in order to professionalize things. And so I believe in a kind of a city-based, commoditized approach with MLR and that centralized model that they're following. So we're definitely keeping our eyes on it. We definitely, want that the concepts that they're talking about to work, and we'll continue to be collaborative with them as they drive their initiatives forward.
How is doing business with a company like AEG and AEG Rugby influenced by some of the rumblings that are taking place from the USA Rugby front with a guy like Tony Ridnell, or was it Michael Feeney, I think his name is? What's your take on all that?
Well, I think that I was on the Congress for a short period of time in the mid 2000s, kind of between when I worked at USA Rugby and then was starting to work for USA Sevens that became World Sports. And I just know that every time I walk into a scenario in the business world, that I've got to create a business plan, I've got to create a business dialogue, and every speech that I give, every time that people ask me about where USA Rugby is and where it isn't, I always go to that's USA Rugby's need, is that if there's a common mission, and I'm not sure exactly what it is and specifically, and I got a hell of a lot of time for Dan Payne, I got a hell of a lot of time for USA Rugby moving forward, but that common mission, if my definition is putting competitive national teams and building a quantitative and qualitative advancement in membership. So we got better players, more teams, more sponsorship playing the game, better and more across the board. Then USA Rugby needs to write a business plan to accomplish those things. And I think that their business platform is grants, membership, and RIM. And I'm not that the combination of all of those things is where they need to get to. And we at AEG are stepping into the foray. If we didn't believe that there was an opportunity to work with USA Rugby and with various different parties, then AEG wouldn't have stepped into the space.
Right.
And so we've stepped into it because we think that we can help build the entire pie, not just our pie.
Right. Dan, we've only got like 30 seconds left, and I just wanted to actually touch base upon some of the stuff that you guys are doing in the immediate future, the AEG partnership with NBC and the Friends of the British Council to get this whole match with Saracens and Newcastle down in Philadelphia. We spoke in length with Donald Walsh, your compadre, over at AEG Rugby. But I want to talk to you briefly about the All-Americans versus Oxford, which I think is really cool and really exciting. Talk about, developing our youth.
Yeah, I mean, we love sports scholastically, and we love sports pro in the United States with that blip of the Olympics and the blip of international. So we felt that bringing the best pros, 7 Lions, captains, Canadian captain, Tongan captain, internationals abroad, Australians, Fijians, everybody in that game, best in the world, best in their positions, combining that with collegiate sport, which we believe wholeheartedly in. That's the root of American sport. And that's scholastic, putting that together as the curtain raiser and putting those two together and surrounding it by a long-term development strategy, getting people and boys and girls and coaches engaged and doing this over a long-term period of time and creating a beachhead on the East Coast to do this and making sure people know that we're going to be here for a long time was the ingredients. And all of those things combined, and I know that's a lot in a mouthful in your 30 seconds, we believe is worthwhile for people to, kick off earlier, get to that game.
Sure.
We don't have many of these opportunities, and it tells sponsors, the Premiership, and all NBC and all these people that are involved that we as a participating base, as a fan base, want this stuff to happen more and more and to build that season of rugby.
Absolutely. Well said, Dan. And we appreciate all of your efforts. You were a great Eagle, and now you're a great ambassador for the game of rugby. Perhaps when another great Eagle, Chris Wiles, comes in with Saracens, we can drink one of his Wolfpack lagers together. And in the meantime, I'll see you in Philly. On behalf of Mr. Junois Bleberg, the Rugby Rain Man, Matt McCarthy for Dan Lyle at the Fantasy Sports Network here in Studio 34, built into the Renaissance Hotel on West 35th Street in New York City, signing off.